This right here, this is a happy man. This is a man who watched the Kansas City Chiefs get annihilated by the Philadelphia Eagles yesterday. And man, was it absolutely glorious. And, as a Raiders fan, one of the things that we look forward to is getting through the Super Bowl and getting that over, because that's when everything really starts to take place. And now that the Chiefs did not three-peat and they are not the greatest team ever in the history of the NFL, we can get back to business, and that is focusing on the Las Vegas Raiders. So today we're going to talk about some stuff that is in the news, some rumors and insider information, and it's going to be regarding the quarterback situation, the wide receiver situation, and Myles Garrett smoke to the Raiders is still out there. It is still smoking, and it is getting hotter by the day. Could the Raiders do something crazy and make a blockbuster trade for the best defensive in the entire league, except for Max Crosby? Well, we're going to get into all that and more on today's episode of the Raider D podcast. First, I just want to say thank you to Big Matt Sanchez being a supporter of the podcast, and he won the $1,000 gift bag prize giveaway during yesterday's live stream. Guys, if you want to get involved in the giveaways that we do here, it doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to send a Venmo. You don't have to send a super chat. All you got to do is go to blackrainofficial.com and sign up for the newsletter, and you will automatically be entered to win. Make sure you put your full name in there and your email address, and the next prize giveaway, you will be automatically entered. Link is down in the description. Also want to thank our sponsor Vtoman for helping us to power the new studio that was recorded over there. Yesterday, we are fully off-grid out here on the Raider Ranch and could not do it without companies like Vtoman helping us to bring in and harness the sun's power. Link to them is down in the description. They have a massive 50% off everything in the store right now for Valentine's Day. You guys don't want to miss out on that. Make sure that you go and check them out. If you need a solar inverter or some solar panels, they got your back. Now, listen, let's get into today's video. And let's start out at the quarterback situation in Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, again, there's more smoke that the Raiders could very strongly pursue him and get him in the free agency, because he's an unrestricted free agent. There is nothing that the Vikings can do right now to keep him there. And so he is a very real prospect for the Raiders to go out and grab. Again, he's going to be a guy who's going to garner $30+ million a year, and he's going to want a longer contract. I think that after his banner year last year, he's not going to accept a 1 or 2 year deal. He wants to be a starting quarterback. He was a former first-round draft pick quarterback, and he wants to be able to be on a team that is going to win. So should the Raiders pursue this, and will the Raiders pursue this? Well, according to reports that are coming out, the Raiders front office is extremely interested in Sam Darnold and adding him to the roster to make him the starting quarterback. Perhaps this is a signal that they've looked at Aiden O'Connell's tape, they've watched him and gotten scouting reports on him, and maybe they feel like he is not going to be the guy. Maybe they feel like he is a better backup quarterback who can come in and salvage some games in case your quarterback goes down, but they may not be believing in him as it is right now. Now, that being said, a lot of people, including me, were looking at Chip Kelly style of offense and thinking, well, you got to have a more athletic quarterback. Well, according to Chip Kelly, he doesn't care about that anymore. He's going to adjust his offense according to the quarterback that he has. And so it doesn't matter that Sam Darnold is not an athletic guy and not super mobile. He is a more of a time passing type of guy. And so he could definitely work in that situation. So as it stands right now, Sam Darnold is definitely on the table for the Raiders if Minnesota lets him walk into the free agency. If they offer him a long-term deal, then you've got J.J. McCarthy sitting there in the waiting, and that is a possibility that Minnesota would trade away J.J. McCarthy to garner some valuable picks, because again, they spent a first-round pick on J.J. McCarthy, and you don't want a first-round draft pick just sitting there year after year after year and not getting his shot. So it just wouldn't make a lot of sense. Garner the trade capability that you're going to get from J.J. McCarthy and get another first-round draft pick in return for him. The Raiders could certainly do something like that. However, at this point, I just don't think that that would make a lot of sense to give up a first-round draft pick for a J.J. McCarthy who was drafted last year. If anything, I would go after Michael Penix Jr. maybe, if you could get a deal done there. But again, that's an unlikely situation for him as well. So I think that at this point right now, the Raiders are definitely in the market. It sounds like it. All the reports that are coming out is saying that the Raiders are definitely in the market for Sam Darnold. Now let's talk about the Myles Garrett thing. And as you guys know, I reported this over a week ago before anybody else that the smoke and the rumors inside that building were that they were interested in Myles Garrett and doing a blockbuster trade. Now, if you watched the Super Bowl last night, if you didn't, I totally understand because, again, it was the Chiefs, but it was glorious watching Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs get obliterated in that Super Bowl. A lot of fun to watch that. But one thing that we took away from that is the MVP of that game was not any individual player, but it was the defense. And in particular, it was that defensive line who literally did not let Patrick Mahomes breathe whatsoever in that game. And I think this is a blueprint moving forward. A lot of people have said that this is a quarterback's league. This is an offensive league and defenses don't matter anymore. Well, the Philadelphia Eagles proved that to be completely BS. It is wrong. The defense absolutely matters. And when you have a dominant defensive line that gets after a quarterback, then you are going to win games. And bringing Myles Garrett, pairing him up with Max Crosby, both these guys in their prime, along with Christian Wilkins and the depth that we have on that defensive line, would just make the Raiders so much better and more competitive, keep us in games, getting turnovers, forced turnovers. Like the pick six that Patrick Mahomes threw is because he had immense pressure in his face. So that's going to open up things for your secondary. So I, for one, am all for it. I know a lot of people are saying go for Abdul Carter. I honestly don't think Abdul Carter makes it to pick six. I think Abdul Carter would be gone. Now, there is a James Pierce Jr., another guy who is a very high upside pass rusher. Definitely a guy that you'd want to take a look at. Picking him at number 6 might be a little bit too high, so maybe you trade back and you grab him. But again, he's going to be a rookie and unproven in the NFL versus grabbing Myles Garrett, who was the 2023 NFL Defensive Player of the Year. He is by far the best edge rusher in the NFL currently right now, only second or tied with maybe a Max Crosby. And so I'm definitely looking at this situation and thinking Max Crosby, Myles Garrett, Christian Wilkins, Tyree Wilson, that's your starting four. If you get Malcolm Kuntz back, great. If you can get Khalil Mack here as a rotational veteran and have him retire as a Raider, that's icing on the cake. I love it. Let's do it. But I am all for the trade for Myles Garrett because if you watched the Super Bowl and you learned anything from it, a dominant defensive line still wins championships. So let's go Raiders. Drop comments down below. Let me know how you guys feel about Myles Garrett. But lastly, I do want to talk about the return of a guy who just got traded in the middle of last season, and that is Devonte Adams. Devonte Adams has gone out there and said that he is not opposed to playing for a couple of teams on the West Coast, including the 49ers or the Rams, but quiet as kept, the Raiders apparently are still also interested in bringing back Devonte Adams. Yes, you heard it right. I just said that the Raiders apparently are interested in bringing Devonte Adams back, and John Spytek and Coach Pete Carroll apparently have reached out to him and have basically tried to mend the wounds of what happened last year with Tom Telesco throwing him under the bus and Antonio Pierce throwing him under the bus and trading him away for a third-round draft pick. And listen, is it realistic? Yes, the Jets have him under contract until 2026. However, there is no guaranteed money, and so a lot of the leverage right now is with Devonte Adams, and so He's already making it known that he's looking at other teams to go to. He still owns his house in Vegas. It is not up for sale. And apparently, according to insiders, he has no intentions of ever selling his house. He and his family are very happy in Vegas, and they're going to stay in Vegas. And so for him to come back to the Raiders, if the Raiders are making the right moves, which right now we are, if we go out and we get a quarterback like a Sam Darnold, who is now proven to be successful, that's going to be enough for Devonte to want to stay in Vegas and come back to the Raiders. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Drop a ton of comments down below and let me know how you feel. Should the Raiders accept Devonte Adams back into the fold in the silver and black?